Hey tubers, how y'all doing? I got my beard, I got my winter beard going on right here. Guys, I got another marketplace find. I'm trying to really document this. I usually just, talk about it after I get home, but I'm trying to document this. This is kind of a big purchase. We're headed to, we're actually headed to Harbor Freight, but I'll get to why I'm headed. This is part of the purchase. I'm headed to pick up something a little different. I haven't done one of these videos in a long time or something. I've been involved in radios and record players and Town and stuff like that so much lately. This is a wind-up phonograph, but it's not really wind up. I'm going to go pick up they made them for 2 years. It's not either a 1927 or a 1928. I'd have to run the serial number once I pick it up to find out what year it is. More likely, I think they were 27. Victrola Orthophonic VE1050. Okay, what this was an orthophonic player that had the automatic record changer. Okay, they made like 10,500 of them, which they sold for $600 in 1927. That's $9,000 now. Oh no, the sun's kind of, because it's 9 o'clock in the morning. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Or I've got some pictures here. The guy originally wanted $500 for it, and I got him to come down to $225 and then on down to $200. Originally we come to agreement on $225, and then I realized I'm not going to have any help loading this thing up. Luckily his driveway backs up to his front door. Now I'm in my wife's car, but my wife had to go pick up something for her YouTube channel, a little dollhouse, and she borrowed my dad's 4x8 trailer. We got a hitch on the back of my wife's car. Tilt trailer, very, very easy to fool with, for my wife to fool with. I've got a 6x10 or 6x12 tilt trailer with my truck, but this car is just so much easier to maneuver in and out, especially something that's not really heavy and easy to fool with. Just, maneuver in and out. And so while this was all hooked up, man, it's perfect. Just jump in my wife's car, go get it. But now the 225, we come down to the agreement. Why I got him to come off so much is the pop metal parts are broken, and you can see it in the pictures that they're broken. And there's a guy who makes reproduction parts, and I ain't got a full price on it, but 2 years ago, these parts were, a whole kit was $575. Now I'm gonna try to not buy the whole kit. If I just have to determine once I get it home, just maybe I can get away with just individual pieces. So I told this guy, I said, man, and that's what the price was 2 years ago. It's probably higher now. And I told him, I said, man, I don't want to have over $1,000 in this thing. So I got him to come down to $225. And then when I realized I wasn't going to have no help, it's going to be impossible to fool with. I don't know if this guy is an older guy, a younger guy, he can help me. And so I realized that I was going to have to buy some of those dollies from Harbor Freight that fit on each leg. It's got 3 wheels on it. They're $8 a piece. You're looking at $30-something for 4 of them. They'll be able to roll it to the door, get it over the threshold, and then roll it up on the trailer, and then maybe having to come along it up on the trailer. I got plenty of quills, I got plenty of straps, I got everything I need in the back of the car, and then the trailer. They say online it weighs 300 pounds. So this is kind of an impulse buy. I may regret it later on. I don't know. I may end up regretting it later on. I don't know. It's one of them deals. I've never seen one person. I knew about these machines for years and years and years. Seen them even when I was younger, collecting, for years and years and years. And I've never seen one in person before. And I don't know the story behind this thing. The guy in his ad, it says, has it worked in 40 years. So it'd be nice if it was an original family. This is the first time it's been sold since 27. There was one about a year ago. Since I live in Jasper, Tennessee, right outside Chattanooga, there was one about a year ago that popped up on Marketplace that was in Clarksville, Tennessee, which is a little bit further. I'm going toward Crossville. Crossville's an hour and a half away. That's where I'm headed. And this was in Clarksville, and at the time I could have got it, but I just kind of had this mindset that I just ain't got the room. I'd love to have one. And a guy from Atlanta picked it up, and he restored it. Dan, the Victrola man, and he picked it up. Me and him talked, and he made videos, and he repaired it and everything else, and it was super nice. So yeah, I just pulled up here at Harbor Freight to get these dollies. Maybe the guy will let me film him, you know, and give me the details and stuff, or maybe not, or I'll ask him beforehand if I can film. He can give the story, and I can kind of put it on there, and then get videos and pictures of loading it up and stuff like that when I get it home, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay, I can't remember. I just come back out of Harbor Freight and got 4 dollies. It was $35. I can't remember if I mentioned why. You know, the price we settled on $225, and I got them to come on down $200 because I told them that I wasn't going to have no help, and I had to order 4 dollies. They're corner dollies. They're $7.99 a piece at Harbor Freight for each leg, and it come out $35. I said, you know, will you take $200 because I'll have to take that $25 to put towards that, you know. And he said sure, you know, and so that's why I got them come on down $200. I don't remember what that one it sold about a year ago. It might have been less money. I don't remember. It could have been less money. But you know, they say they think these things are worth around $500, roughly $500 in non-working condition. You know, it's complete, and then they're worth, you know, $2,000 working. They're worth a pretty good bit of money, and it's got all the record boxes with it. There's nothing, from what I can tell in the pictures, there's nothing missing. Everything's there. It'd be nice if I can get an owner's manual stuff with it. Usually, when stuff's been in the family since new, you usually get all that stuff. People keep that stuff. But we'll find out once I get up there. Maybe he'll let me record, and he tells the story, and I can just film the recording. Record him telling the story, you know, and kind of go from there. And then we'll see you in Crossville here in a little bit. All right, here we're loaded up here. I'm just about 2 miles from the guy's house. I guess I just didn't film, but I pulled in here to check straps, you know, make sure straps is all good and everything. So here at Food City, so everything's going good so far. It went up on this trailer a lot easier than I thought it was going to. A lot lighter when you take the records out too. So I would pick up each end and put the little dollies. This is the dollies that I picked up. I can show you the records too. So it's full of orthophonic records. There's the dollies that I bought. That's the box that came in, had to buy them. And under each leg, rolled it right up on the trailer. So that's all the boxes there. The guy told me it belonged to his grandfather. His grandfather originally bought it in 1927 in Ohio. And it's got some nicks and stuff in it. I got all the stuff out of the compartment before we loaded it up. I got all the screws in my pocket. I forgot. I should have brought a box. I didn't. But I got all the stuff. Pop the trunk again. Is it in here? I must have laid it in the car. Yeah, I think I did. Let's see. Oh, yeah. He gave me a big old box full of records, too. Yeah, I don't know if they're any count or not to go through them. But here's the bag of the cord and everything is all in this bag. It seemed like everything's there, man. All the bolts and screws and what I pieced together. The record loader is there. We'll dig in all this stuff when I get it home and get it unloaded. But yeah, there it is. So yeah, let's get her on home, get her safely. I got an hour and a half to get to the house and get her unloaded and everything. It'll unload a lot easier than loading because you just roll it right off. It being a tilt, this is a tilt trailer, so the trailer will tilt, and I can just roll it right off into the garage. I have to have my wife help me a little bit because I roll it out to the end, and this thing will tilt, and that thing will just take off and fall over. So I'll have to have my wife help me on it. And then I'll just leave all four legs on those dollies so I can roll it around in the garage, spin it around, move it wherever I need to move it, make a decision on it later. But yeah, let's get this thing home, guys, and get her unloaded. We got her home and unloaded and off the trailer. As you can see, my dollies there, 4 of them. That's everything that was up in the cabinet. That was all right there. I took all that out and put the bolts in a bag and a Ziploc and put the big stuff in this bag right here. And I just got it all out and kind of inventorying everything. I took all the records out, obviously, where it won't be as heavy. Put them all back in there. It just, you know, so been checking everything over on it. But so far, I mean, you know, a lot of nicks right here, a lot of nicks up in here. I think all that stuff was left in here, and so when it was moved around, it beat around. You can see all the nicks back there. All the nicks. It's like the stuff got tossed around. All this stuff right here got tossed around in there and just beat it up on the inside. I'm going to try to do what I can. It seems like all the pot metal stuff is bad. I'll go down here on the stuff in the floor and kind of go through it. But this is actually a U model, VE1050U, which has a AC/DC motor, and so some people had DC power, so pretty rare. Serial number 600, so pretty early. They say the early models didn't have that drawer, and then the later models had like a little tray to sit the record loader on. I don't look like anything's missing. Everything's here. I mean, I don't have an owner's manual. I wish I got an owner's manual, but like I was saying when I was checking the straps when I had it loaded up, this had been in the family. The guy bought it off of his grandfather. He'd bought it new up in Ohio in 1927, and he said it ain't worked in 40 years. He said he remember when he was a kid when it was working. Obviously the pot metal parts went bad, and that ended that. Yeah, I mean all the pot metal parts is bad. That's this part right here goes. Lay it up here. It goes right here, and then this part goes up like this, and this holds the records, and then it picks the records off this and sits it down, and then when it comes down, it drops them in this tray, and you pull this tray out to get it. With the power cord. Yeah, this is pot metal. This is pot metal. It's going to be replaced. You can see where it's all cracked. I don't know what this piece is. I know this is part of it. Maybe it goes. I don't know what that piece is right here. I know what all this is. This goes like right here, somewheres, like right there. This is the bulb. That part right there is the bulb. This goes right here and keeps the glare, makes the bulb be dim, I think the later ones, the bulb was in the ceiling, I think, or somewhere else. Here's the reproducer, but it's in two pieces. I don't know if that can be fixed. Now here's the record loader. It just sit up in the back. There's the records. So the records are got that big cutout in the side of it, so you can just stick this in here like this, and then pull the whole records out of the slot, and then stick it. Well, let me get down here and stick it. I guess like that, and then you can slide the records up on this. And then same way with some records. Pull it back here with this door right here. Pull this out, and there's this slot right here. So when the records fall, they come and dump into this tray. So the records will be in there. You can just take this right here and stick it in the records and pull the records out. The only thing I like about this is it smells like cigarettes. The guy smoked, and as soon as I walked in his house, I smelled it. I was like, oh no. My wife, she was raised up in a smoking house. So she has a little bit more sensitive nose. She says the smell is not bad enough for it to stay forever. So I think because I know there's a part that hooks onto this that's pot metal, and this is super hard, and when I moved it around, I heard something fall down in the bottom, so that's probably that piece finished breaking off. Looks like I'm gonna have to have all the pieces. This piece that's pot metal. I reckon that comes with one of these, it won't turn. 10 inch, 12 inch, and a reject button. I think this is the switch that turns the light on when you open the door. I'll tell you what, let's see. Turns it on. I think this right here turns the record player off when there's no records getting loaded. Let's see here. I had this plugged up to another radio, and see, you don't really have to have the power cord. You can just plug a just AC motor. So, let's see. Take this cover off the back, because this bolt right here was missing anyways. Okay, let me take this one off. Bear with me, guys. All right, let me put you in pause for just a second, get these doors off. All right, I got both doors off. This bolt was missing, and I took one of the bolts that was laying up here and put it in there because it fell when I was trying to load it. And I got this bolt, so you take a little bolt out here and here, and these back doors come off. Let's see. Turn the light on. Let's see. Ooh, some stuff down in there. Ooh. Yeah, see, there's that piece that fell. There's a big needle right there. What that is? That's some big. That probably has something to do with the AC/DC motor. Let's see. Huh. Reach down in there. Hope the big rat don't bite me. This is the piece that I heard fall. Yeah, that's it. That pop metal. That's probably that piece that. Yeah, see the crack. That's that piece right there. God, it's all cracked. So that's, man. God, $575, probably more than that. Oh, it's loose. Yeah. So there's 2 screws out of that. There's that motor. Okay, there's that piece. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's going to have to be replaced. God. I reckon the new pieces gets rid of all them gears, and it's just some kind of lever with a rod that comes over to this and moves it back and forth and does away with all that. Does away with all that. Yeah, see, right there at the top. I can't. Yeah, all that's toast. Every bit of that's toast. All the dust moving around in there. I mean, everything's in good shape. It's just all the pop metal stuff's obviously just, I mean, it looks like a regular wind-up motor. Probably got to be greased and oiled. I mean, I'm glad I got cloth wiring. Glad for all that. Hear my dog barking. So I wonder if that has something to do with the motor. Maybe there's a manual down in there somewhere. I'll have to get in there and see if I can get some of that stuff out. Take some of these panels off. Other stuff down in there. Now it looks like it's other stuff. I don't know what that is. That looks like cards and stuff that's fell down in there. Anything down in here. Stuff over there. I'm hoping to find some kind of a manual or something. Original owner's manual. Yeah, I'm not going to hum in the cord. Ooh. Usually cloth wiring's pretty, but it's been in the same position for so many years. I don't know. I wonder if that's where you hooked up the... Let's see if I can get this cover off right here in a minute. Come back with you. All right, I did get the motor to run. I've just got my green extension cord plugged in here. I had to spray some WD-40 down in there, spray it up in the back, up in the motor in there, and spray it from a distance. And, you know, running pretty good. I mean, I'm going to properly grease it because I don't know how to get this off without having this up. But it'll reject. So, and then it'll shut off, and there's records on there, it'll shut off. So, now obviously the tone arm ain't gonna move because the broke it shuts it off. So that ain't gonna move because that's part of that pop metal on the back. So turn it back on, reject. Let's see. I guess that's how you get it off. I don't have any other way to get it off but to raise it up like that. So let's try to get this off. Alright, I got the cover off. Laying up here. I take this off plus the 4 bolts in the corner. Kind of work it up. You know, just on and off switch. This will actually kind of go back like that. Just a typical greasing and oiling, cleaning it up. A weird spring on that. Let's go around here to the back. Yeah, this is that part's broke. Right here. That whole piece is part of it. Goes like right there, I think. And that's what moves this around like that. Yeah, he needs to be oiled and grease. Raises it up and down. What that says. Keep the customer happy, he's the real boss. Just turn the light on there. Yeah, I just sprayed some WD-40 up in there on the motor and stuff. Kind of freed up a bit. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Is replacement of this, them gears there, kit, this, everything's toasted. I'll have to have all of it. $575. Oh, that's half the reason I want to get all this open today to look to see how damaged. Well, I think I moved this around, and like I said, I heard a piece fall, and I was like, oh, I bet it's. And then obviously the gears there. I think this is what raises this up and down, like this, and then that part right there is what makes it. You know, brings this back. You know, and then comes over and sets the record down. Because I think all that gear right there, and that'll have to be. So all of it's toast. Which they say usually when one thing is toast, all of it's toast. So pretty much, yeah. I determine where I go from here. Alright, got some decisions to make. Which I kind of figured all that anyway, so I'll have to have the whole kit. Yeah, I think it even comes with a new handle right here. Once I make a decision on this thing, I'll get back with you. All right, it's been about a week later since I was talking about making a decision on parts for this thing, and I've talked to Mark Lynch a couple of times, emails back and forth, and he says that you could do a payment plan. So, you know, like give me a suggestion, like he said, you know, he didn't know how much longer he's going to be making these parts, and says that I can put you on a reserve plan where, you know, the parts are set to the side for you, and, you know, give you a suggestion. You can put like a $200 deposit on it and then just make payments. And as soon as the final payment is made, I'll mail you the parts. He said other collectors have done the same thing because there's over $600. They're high, you know. So, you know, that's the decision I was talking about, is whether to sell it. But, you know, when am I ever going to find one of these machines, you know? I mean, you know, and then, you know, if you did buy another machine, it's going to be in the condition this one is, with the parts being, now with the parts being broken. But if you bought one that was restored, it'd be unaffordable. You're not going to pay for what they would want for the machine, especially what the cost of parts is. So, you know, I've been playing around with it. I don't know, that last part of that video, you know, this part right here, I took it off. That went on the tone arm right there. You know, this is going to have to be replaced. Along, you know, obviously with this part here. The part, this little, I think that comes with this little, that's what selects it between 10 inch and 12 inch. Because it's broke right there. So, I've been fooling with it. Now the reproducer that's on there right now is off my, I can't even think of the model. Or I got another Orthophonic Victrola. It's out in my shed, where everything's stored. So I've been kind of playing around with it. The motor's going to have a lot of work done to it, because I was able to get the motor to run really, really good. And then 2 days later, I went out here and turned the motor on, and it acted just like it did. Well, when I first plugged this thing up and run it, the motor was super sluggish and humming, and you had to help it, and it would like speed up and slow down, speed up and slow down. Well, I just sprayed WD-40 all in there, and it kind of got it to free up and run really, really well. And then 2 days later, I come out here and turned it on, and it acted like it's, you know, like when I first brought it home. So that means I'm going to have to really take all this out and lube and oil and re-grease everything, which I was going to do anything. But I'm going to wait and do that when I order the parts, so I can install the parts while this is out. Now, I've already got the bolts out of it, because I originally one here, and the one back there in the back. And it's still solid in there. I'll have to take the tone arm from the bottom, remove it, so this will come up. But I was in the middle of doing all that. So why take this out and then lube it up and get the motor, you know, real good, and put it back in here, and then have to turn around and take it back out again to install the parts? So I just kind of, and then I'm going to wait until the parts are installed, everything's cleaned up, you know, oiled and everything else, before I start getting these little nicks and stuff out of here with some restore finish and cleaning the cabinet. So the motor and the changer mechanism is number one. As soon as it's done, then I'll work on the cabinet and cleaning it up, getting rid of the nicks, all this stuff right here, you know, trying to get it all, polish it all out, trying to get it all out. I'm gonna have to try to work on this door a little bit. If you can see right here, it kind of has a hard time shutting. I don't know if it needs there's adjustment on it. It shut all right there. Maybe it just, oh, this looks like it's pretty beat up there. These two doors right here open and shut really, really well. They don't hit none of the rest of the cabinet, but it does there a little bit. I got one of the record laying up here on top. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So that I'm not gonna do anything else. All I'm gonna do with it is just play around with it. And I'm not gonna film none of that until so probably when you see me again in this video, the parts are here. You know, it'll be a while to install it, and then I'll get all this out, oil it and clean it, and then start cleaning. I mean, there's not much to this machine. You know, repair the parts, oil this up, deal with the reproducer, and then you know, clean the cabinet up and all this, that, and other. Now, like I said, that reproducer is out of my, I was about to say 8.4, but it's not. It's not a credenza. It's that size, smaller than a credenza, and it's not off the top of my head. So what it is, and I've had it for a long time, but That's the reproducer out of it. Now, I've got some ideas on this reproducer right here about what to do with it being split into two like this. And I don't know whether I'm going to go with it or not. You can see where half the gasket's missing right there. Rebuilding it myself. I'm thinking about, obviously, you know, I got to desolder that and take that out and put a gasket on the inside and solder it and put the, you know, 2 sets of gaskets on the inside, on the outside. And then doing some kind of, I don't know if the phonographic community would like it, is to take, because technically what this does is being threaded, you put it in here, and this little ring on the outside is supposed to be separated. So what you do is you put this in here, and then you put the ring in there, and you turn the ring, and it tightens down like a bolt, nut, and threads down in there. But since it's loose, here's what I thought about doing. You know, it's either do that or buy another reproducer and then have it rebuilt. Is to, all right, you know, obviously, you know, put the gaskets, you know, and all this, that, and other. And then when I get ready to install this with a new gasket here, is take some JB weld and spread it all through the threads and then set it down in here like this and then put it in a vise. Like clamp it right here with, you know, put a rag around it so you don't scrape it up and push it tight like this to simulate this being tightened by the threads, and kind of push it tight and let it sit overnight while the GB weld hards. I mean, I'm gonna take the access off with your finger right here when it squeezes it out, and not have it down to where it touches the diaphragm, just at the upper top part of it, just a little bit. You know, put it on there with a little bitty small flathead screwdriver, and then just wipe away the excess at the top and then push it real hard. I mean, you'd never be able to take it apart again, but if it's successful, you won't need to. You know, that'll last another, you know, I'll be dead and gone by the time this thing needs to be rebuilt again, so it'll be somebody else's problem. But it's either do that or throw this reproducer away. You know, I may talk to White Marcus. You know, he's supposed to be the king of kings when it comes to rebuilding these about. Because I take a lot of pride in my stuff. I don't like somebody else rebuilding stuff. Obviously, if I couldn't get it open, I would have to send it to him, see what he can do with it. Just like this one here. This one's never been rebuilt, but it's the same way. I think I've replaced the bearings and stuff in it. It's the same way. But it sounds fine, so I'll leave it alone. So, yeah. Oh, I'm going to show you this, guys. When I talked about the machine, about knowing about this machine since the 90s. Turn my flash off. I don't know what my flash was on for. So since I've known about this machine since the late 90s, this book right here, I've had this book for 25 years, over 25 years. This is, you know, this is before the internet. Before I got this from White's Musical Americana. I don't even know if they're still in business anymore. And a reference guide of all the Victrolas. You know, and I'd let's see, and I'd go through. So let me hold on. Yeah, this is the one that's out in the shed. I'm 8.4. This is what's out in the shed that I stole the Orthophonic reproducer. So I have an 8.4. Never done a video on it, but I never really had to do anything to it. Lube it up and, you know, stuff like that. All right. Here's the 1050 in here. $600, $27.28. Now, this ain't, I mean, it just shows the cabinet. It don't show what it looks like on the inside. So this ain't really what interests me in the machine. It's this picture right here. A 1051, which 1051 is the exact same thing, except it had an amp. It wasn't orthophonic. It had an amp, so it had electric motor obviously for the changer and the turntable, but it had an amp that ran for the sound. But you know, technically on the front it looked exactly the same, except it had some more controls there and electric pickup. So this is how I knew about the machine since the late 90s. Is from this picture right here. If this didn't exist, and say this picture looked just like the 1050 on the other page, then I wouldn't have no interest. But I'm like, man, that's cool, and I would like. Let's see. Hold on, let me find it. I had to sit this down. All right, this is the whole little article about this changer. And I seen these pictures, in the late '90s when I was a teenager, and I was like, man, how cool is this thing? How does this thing work? There's the record loader, and I'm like, what's that for? And then I see it, come up and then grab a record and set the record down. I'm like, well, how does it grab the next record? I didn't know that it come up and it fell down in a drawer right here, obviously. Because the pictures, you have no, there's no internet, no YouTube, no nothing in the late 90s. So it sets the record down right here, and I'm like, well, how does it get the next record? If it's got this platter right here, it comes up and gets it. What does it do? Go up there and grab another one and set it down on top of this one. This record comes back up and grabs a second one. I just didn't know that it rose up and then fell down in this tray to grab another one, So this right here, and it talks about this whole, all this is about this changer. And then, obviously Victrola. So this is book. I've had this book for all these years. And, this is what's always had my interest and stuff in this machine. I don't know if I would consider it a holy grail for me, but it just impulse and super cool, and it is what it is, All right, guys. It's been almost 3 months to the day. I bought the VE 1050 back on January 4th, and today is April 3rd. And you see this box in front of me? These are the parts that I was talking about. $656 worth of parts that I took 3 months to save up to buy. I made $200 payments, or three $200. Last one was $256 payment, but I made one payment a month, and mailed Mark Lynch a check once a month until I got it paid for. But it's I actually, before this shot right here that you're seeing right here, actually before this was all shot early part of January, before I even bought the Bayliner boat. So you're going from January 5th, 6th, 7th to April 2nd. Boom! The box come in yesterday. I've opened it up and just kind of started. This is the instructions, where to go to get the instructions, how to install all this. I've kind of, this is, I kind of did this last night, but I haven't opened anything up. Let's see. Super curious. This felts. I'm not really worried about the felts right now. Get my knife out here. So, it's very good packaging. Thank you, Mark. I know he said, I started doing a lot of research on that. Yeah, that's the turntable felt. I kind of recognize that felt to where it's supposed to go. Leather strap with some nails right there. A lot of this stuff I'm just going to have to figure out. The instructions are there where all this goes. Let's see here. Link kit. Okay, that replaced those gears, that script. Let's see. I'll just open this up and then put it back in the bag. Let's see here. Okay. Garbage can over here, because that's mainly for shipping. So
Oh, okay, there's my little knob. Because the tip of it's broke off right here. Okay, I'll put this back in here. Keep that because that shows in the front. I'll put this back in here. This back in there. Just want to look at all parts. See what we got here. Ooh, that's that piece that's all shattered. Very nice. That's what holds the changer up in the air. What I like about the bags, they're not, you can just open them right up. Okay, there's that piece there. Because this piece is like completely all shattered and broken. And we'll compare pieces to the originals. I'm looking at all this stuff at the same time. Hey, Bubba. So I'm looking at all the same, looking at all this at the same time y'all are. Yeah, that goes on the tone arm. That picks it up and moves the tone arm on the record. I think that's it. Open this up. Okay. Yeah, that's the link kit. Replaces those gears that's chewed up. Alright, let me set all this to the side. Let me go get the original parts. We'll compare them here. Alright. Okay, here. Now, the felt, this piece right here, this I'll be using this original because this is not pot metal, so this is the original part right here. And the link kit, which is this stuff, and this piece right here, this is still in the turntable, this is still in the record player, and it'll have to be tore out. So it replaces a gearbox thing that makes it more simple and still functions. Okay. Let's see. Let's compare. Yeah, there's the original. There's a reproduction. Okay. Let's go here. So I kind of set everything. So these parts right here, I really can't compare. You know, this is the, and it changes the size whether you're using 12-inch records or 10-inch records. I'll set that here to the side. Let's see here. Okay. Here's this. Oh, just look how much bigger that is. This is. It's just like it swelled so much. It changed the width. It's just like blah. This one. I mean, this is the main part of the parts. Okay, here's the original. Here's the reproduction. So you can see that piece is broke off there. Same way on this side. And then finally the tone arm. Now these are all handmade, so. And then if you look at this part right here. So this originally went here, as you can see. So I'll have to remove this and attach it to this. Take this screw out and attach it to this. Like so. But that's pretty much the meat and potatoes of this thing. And obviously I've got some felt. Well, I will. I'll need that piece put on there eventually. I do have felt to go on this. It's let's see this felt here. Alright, there's a turntable felt, and here's this that was original, and here's the reproduction. So it just cleans all this up, you know, because look how dirty this is. At least that's where the records hit that, dumped over the years. And then place the felt. So, yep, pretty good so far. Today's Thursday evening. Tomorrow's Good Friday, so we'll start to work on this a little bit. The reproducer is being sent out to White Marcus, and it got to him early this week, but I think he's out of town, so it may be a few more weeks before I get it back. But I may run it with the reproducer out of my other orthophonic machine, like I've been playing a little bit. So this is just to show what the parts came today, trying to compare the original, see how they look. Everything looks good so far. I've got to print out that there's the instructions that he's got sent to me. I got to print them out, mainly the ones that show how to install these parts. I'm gonna print them all on paper, so I'm not trying to look at them on my phone and do you know, and trying to, you know, print that stuff out. So yeah, I'm super curious. I'm gonna try to do a good grease lube job on the motor when I get it all out. He's got actually the instruction manual shows you how to build like a little stand to put the motor on to work on it. So all right, got the parts in here. Still got them organized, got them inventoried. Everything looks good. So hopefully this weekend, I'm off tomorrow, so hopefully, you know, I can work on it a little bit and see how that goes and kind of go from there. All right, here we are the next day. Today's Good Friday. I'm off today, so I need to do some chores around the house, but I want to work on this. This is a little table in the instructions that comes with a kit from Mark Lynch. He gives instructions on how to build this little table to sit the motor on when I remove it from the machine. 12 by 16 piece of plywood, two 5-inch 2x4s, and a 4 3/4 2x4, just like this, and the motor will sit on there, and then you can work on it from underneath. The instruction says you can install the parts without removing the motor, but if you want to do an overhaul and lubricate and everything, obviously I would have done that anyways. So let's get in here and try to get this motor out and get it sit on this tray right here. it's loose in there, just trying to get it to come out. Oh, there it is. Good old pot metal. Those gears right there. That right there broke loose. That's why that fell out. This is what changes the record size from 10 inch to 12 inch. And this ought to be replaced by that little linkage. I'll lay that up here. I got a tile laying on top of it so I can lay a lot of stuff up there. Should come out now. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Here we come. Here we come. There we go. On the stand we are. Ooh, we zoom out now. Make sure it's on the stand, right? Pretty because it just got a plug right here. Just got a plug for the. So it's pretty. Pretty level. No. Huh. So you can just plug a outlet. You can just plug a plug in there and it'll run. Obviously, you know, you push this in. This is your rejector right here. You push that in from the front of the machine. So you can just do that right there to trigger the. And then obviously all this will work. It's pretty easy. It's got 3 outlets in here. Let me bring y'all in there. Get y'all out of the stand. Let's see. So you got that plugs into the motor. That one there. Let me turn the light up. That now. So I've got that plug in right there. Let me get in there. This one right here plugs into the switch. It turns it on up there, and then obviously that's your light switch there. That don't need to be unplugged, but yeah, just you know that went into the motor right there, and you just unplug it and it comes right out. So, yep. Yeah, this was kind of hard. I had to take these 3 screws out from the bottom down here, and they were kind of hard. But yeah, not bad. Get that thing out. So yeah, this all gets replaced. You take this part right here off, and that linkage replaces all of that. It's all pot metal stuff. All right. Let's get reorganized right here, and then we'll dive right into it. All right, kind of flipped it upside down to really look at this motor. I took them 2 plugs out, put some oil down in there. I might as well go ahead and install that while I got it upside down on this table. I don't think there's any nuts. I don't feel like there's any nuts. No, I think it's just threaded right on in there. I've got that upside down. Go ahead and install that. Look at that pot metal. Woo! Yeah. Might as well go ahead and. Now, what I've done is there's like 25 pages. The parts that Mark Lentz sent you, that comes with instructions. He gives you a PDF file of all the instructions, and I don't really have the ink. I'd probably, so what I did, I sent it all. This is my son's tablet, but we use it, back and forth. Use it for our stuff and his stuff. And there's all the instructions. So, I didn't even have it in there. So tells you how to build the work stand, which I did. And then there's a tone arm collar. There's that magazine base. Pretty well detailed. There's that piece where you get rid of this, and then you add this. It gets rid of all of them gears, and it's just a linkage. It works the same thing. So same way. So there's them pieces. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so there's that piece for the linkage to get rid of them gears. New piece on the front. So yeah, a little bit of everything there. I use my son's tablet because I don't really want to try to look at it through my phone. Try to zoom in. I'm 43 years old. It's harder to see that stuff now than it was. That's the only thing I see is just a little bit of oil in there. I don't know. I'm not really familiar on as far as using 3-in-1 oil. That's just what I've used on past Victrolas. I don't know. I'll probably get slack from people. I mean, I don't know if I'm not supposed to use it, but I always have. What I did is when I first got this thing and the motor was kind of sluggish, I just sprayed some WD-40 at a distance up in here on all this governor stuff. You see, now I can really lubricate it real good. But that's why it's already kind of obviously you can't. It looks like let's see, I'm gonna bring you in on this side. Yeah, the bushings look pretty good so far. Hey, like my Atwater Kent 60 in the background. Okay. Yeah, all the bushings look pretty good so far. Because this guy that I bought this of, he said he remembers it running as a kid. And maybe in the 60s, 70s. So it's been pretty much, his older motor, it's pretty much, motor hasn't run since then. Obviously, they're not going to run it when it broke. So he remembers it running as a kid. I contacted him yesterday and made sure, because it's been 3 months, I told him I'd send him a video, and he said he'd send it to his dad because it belonged to his dad's dad. He bought it brand new in 27 in Ohio. So I guess I can work on that while I've got this upside down. All right, I've got this on. I had to do some modifications to it. It replaced all those, broken gears that went right here. So technically, if you look, see, this is how it worked. And so this replaces it very simple. It changes it from 10 inch to 12 inch or non-rejecting mode to where it just play the, it won't reject the record, which is says Victrola. So 10 inch, 12 inch Victrola. Victrola means it don't get rid of the record and put a new one down. But the instructions calls for this to be on top of this, but this has got this weird universal motor. I had to quit filming. I was like, oh, I gotta figure this out. And it barely, well, no, it didn't clear. I had to take a grinder and grind the corner of this off right here. You can see right here my fingernail. I had to grind that where to clear it. And then put this, because technically in instructions, this has got it going on top. Well, they would hit those, it's down there. And so, and it works. I've got it all adjusted. That's 12 inch, 10 inch, and or that's one setting, middle setting, top setting, middle setting, bottom setting. I just don't remember which one it is. So it's okay. That was I was worried about that when I didn't see it clear, but I got it barely clearing it. And nothing's going to touch those two wires either. I'll make sure they're all tight and they stay pointed up so they don't go around and touch that. They're a little loose on there, but I'll make sure those are good and tight and they'll just stay put. And then we'll see how that'll clear it. So yeah, got that figured out. Woo! So this is the original broken one right here. I'm not going to put the new one on there until it's back in the cabinet, but that's the original one that's broken. So see, good to go. I'll have to adjust. This has got an adjustment right here for the shaft, a little slot in here. So I'll have to make sure it'll stick through the hole, and then try to get in there and tighten it, which I think I can. Yeah, plenty of room in there, I believe. So yeah, I got that kind of in there, adjusted and modified. All right, I don't know, I had it on pause when I slipped this on there, but all I did is this part's bolted on the old one, so you got to put this on the new one. I just slide it on and down. It's not, and you got to adjust it so it's loose on here. I guess I can plug this thing up. All right, I'm in a pretty good spot right here. It's pretty simple. I had some problems. Let me explain this. I haven't filmed in about 3 hours because I was fighting an issue earlier, but I come to find out what was going on. Since this has got the universal motor on it, you have to run it through the circuit. You can't just plug it right into 110. You have to run it through this circuit. So you got to plug it into this cabinet right here to run through these resistors in the bottom, it being a universal AC/DC motor. If you don't, it'll have way too much horsepower and cause you all kind of problems. Slowing it down, I couldn't get it to slow down. It was running too fast, overpowering the governor brake and everything else. So that was something I was trying to troubleshoot off the screen. But now, man, you can just barely move it, man. It'll slow that motor down. So, all right, here we go. Rejecting. You know, it's supposed to be laying the record down and raising it up. So far, so good. It's sitting at a little bit of an angle. All right, let's go all the way down here at the end. And this is set at 10 inches, 10-inch record. It just looks like it's not doing this. It's supposed to be raising that little lift arm down, so I have that taken off, you know. So far so good. All right, let's put it in 12. 12 is in the middle. It should drop out here. I'll catch it. Yeah, see? That's 12. And then down here is for Victrola. Means it's not supposed to reject. Well, I guess it does. It's supposed to be in Victrola mode. Okay. Yeah, see, it's rejecting. Let's see here. Find out what's going on here. Yeah, it's tripping it. I see what's going on there. It's supposed to have looks like a bar. It's supposed to come out there to hold that lever down to keep it from tripping. I need to be bent down just a little bit. Yeah. This needs to be bent down just a little bit. All right, guys. I got it back in the machine. That was what you seen right before this was on Friday. Today's Monday. I kind of hit a snag in here, so I haven't filmed in a couple days, but I've kind of overcome the snag. Not 100%, but I kind of explained things. But all I did was, you know, I kind of got that adjusted pretty good, and I just put it back in the cabinet. It's just got 3 bolts. One here, one there, one in the back, and then I got to reattach the horn to the bottom of that with 3 bolts. And then plug it in, plug the switch. I got the switch just sitting in here because you got to have the wood panel in here for this to sit in there, work the switch. Got the rod in there. So there it is, 10 inch, 12 inch of Victrola with a new switch on it. I got this bolted up. I do have, I think I've only got 3 of these bolts, not 2 or 3 of these, but these 2 back here has got to have nuts. Got to have nuts on the bottom. And these two right here threaded in this piece right here. Here's the bolts right here. So this is what they originally are. Those are just temporary until I find these or find the nuts for them. There's a weird thread pattern. I remember somebody telling me a long time ago that there was a thread pattern used back in the old days that and you know, just trying to follow. Like I said to somebody, excuse me, I had to put a pause there for a minute. But yeah, you got like an old thread pattern. Somebody told me that they didn't use anymore. That may be it. I took this to the hardware store and I could not find nothing that would fit this. They're fine thread, coarse thread, didn't matter. So I bought them too, and that's just temporary until I get this thing lined up here. But you know, obviously I've got the other reproducer in there. The other one, I think White Marcus messaged me yesterday on Easter and said that it was ready to go, $167. So I paid him last night. He's supposed to ship it out today. It'll be here by the end of the week. And you know, obviously got a few parts. So let me show you how this thing works and kind of show where the little snag that I've got. But I figured it out here. All right, I got about 3 records. You just slide them up over this lip. But you know, once I'm done with this thing, I'll show you how to properly load it with that little thing you hook on there and slide it on. All right, let's reject it. Here, let me bring my needle down. Oh, missed it. I gotta do some more adjustments. All right, let me go into the inside and get it activated. All right, here we go. Now here's the problem that I encounter. It just brings the record that I just played right back down. It don't dump it. So this is the same record I just played a minute ago. All right, so you put the needle on there this time. So it still needs just a hair more adjustment. Now, shut this door so it's not so loud. All right. This pad is supposed to raise up and let the record dump down in here. Eject. But see how the pad's, so it just, okay. Okay, let me show you how this is supposed to work. All right, I'm supposed to dump it and then grab the next record off the shelf. And here we go. So this is supposed to stay up until it dumps, and then it's supposed to flip back to grab the next record. Okay. If you can see this tab and this tab. This is for the 10-inch records. This is for the 12-inch records. The 10-inch records, this is just thick enough for the thickness of the record here. Turn it off so I can talk here. Okay. Yeah, so what this does is when it raises up and grabs these records, these 2 tabs come up under this, and it's just thickening up the record, so it raises the record up over this little lip. That little lip right there, and I'm pointing at my middle finger, it just lifts it up over that one record. Just lifts it up over it. So let me turn it back on. Let me get rid of this record. And there's a problem why it won't dump the records. I'll have to show you on the other side. So let's get rid of this record. And play mode. Okay, got it to activate. See that lifted up over it? That's what them tabs do. to go to the other side. Okay. Let me activate it. Okay, there it is. You see that little pin there? Right here. There's nothing hooked to it. See, all I did was just put the record up there and just bring it right back down again. Okay. All right. I have a piece missing. Turn it off, unplug it there. I have a piece missing right here. And I'll show it to you. What happened is I knew there was something going. I thought, what's this pin here for? There's nothing hooked to it. So I took a picture of this and I sent it to Mark Lynch. I said, there's something missing here. He said, yep. He said, there's a piece, a brass piece that on this shaft right here, because this is real loose in here. See how loose this is? Because there's supposed to be another piece just as thick as this on the other side. All right, and you see this little piece right here, this little tab? There's nothing hooked to it. What it is, there's a piece, this is the larger link, and then you got a smaller link that goes on the other side on that same shaft right here. And it's got a tab that sticks out about right here my fingernail is, and there's a spring that hooks to here to here. And what that tab does is when this thing is raised up, plug it back up here. So this tab is supposed to hold this plate up enough for it to push the record out to slide the record off. So I'll show you. I'll kind of simulate that for you. Okay. There goes. So I just pushed it up real fast. It's kind of hard to simulate it, but I got the record drop, and then it goes to the last record. And there we are, rolling on the last record. Okay. And he said, yeah, you got a piece missing. And so I tore through this thing, started looking in the bottom. He said, it may be in your cabinet somewhere. And you see me go through this thing. I looked and I looked and I looked and I looked. I never seen anything like that. It's about this big. I'll, show the picture, or I may already have, of what it looks like. He said, yeah, that's critical. That piece is critical if you want the records to dump, to drop the records to grab the next one. And, it'd be something I could make myself if I had to. And so he said, hey, I've got some contacts. This was on Saturday sometime. He said, I got some contacts. Let me see if I can round one up for you. And then all of a sudden this morning, there was a guy that lived in Colorado that had two of these machines, but he was needing this part right here. He was needing this part. He was needing this part right here. And so I guess he contacted Mark. Mark hooked him up with a guy in New Hampshire that sold him this whole ring here that picks the records up and drops them, this whole ring. And it come with this piece and the other piece that's on that shaft that I'm missing. And so all he needed was this piece right here. So he had this an extra piece. You talking about a small world. You talking about wowie, I figured he would round me, it would be, maybe a guy with, 3 or 4 of these, and he's parts them out, and, what do you give for it kind of deal. And it wasn't like that. Guy's practically giving it to me, but I'm going to give him some money. Now, I haven't got that squared away yet. I mean, that's where we're at on it, but far as, but yeah, he's got the part. He's already said, I'll just give you the part. And that's all I need to finish this up other than them bolts and nuts right there. And hopefully in the next week or two, I'll get that part. I'll get my new rebuilt reproducer from White Marcus. Let's see what else I got. I got to replace the bulb on this. I asked Mark about what bulb, because the regular candle arbor type bulb threads do not fit in here. He showed me what kind of bulb will fit in there. So I got to get a bulb for this. I got to ask him about needles. I think you got to use tone needles, because steel needles, you play them one time, you throw them away, and you can't really do that on this. So you got to use the same needle over and over. So I'm gonna get with him on best needles to use for something like this. Get the bulb. I gotta get a power cord. Like I said, I obviously have the power cord right here. That's tattered. I'll just reuse the two ends and put a whole new cloth covered power cord on it. So maybe the next 2 weeks I'll have this thing done. I'm gonna try to clean it up really well, get a lot of this old nasty stuff off of it, and then put some Howard's Restore finish, and this thing's gonna go in the house. It really is. So that's where I'm at on it. That's why I didn't film. That's why you didn't see me. I kind of got really frustrated when I seen that piece was missing. I'm like, oh no, I'm either never gonna find that piece, or I'm gonna have to make it, or it could be months to find this piece and all this. And here I already spent $600 something on the pop metal replacement parts, and I spent $100 something to have the reproducer rebuilt. It's like if I knew that piece was missing, I would have just shoved it to the corner and had somebody help me hunt for that piece, which, so, and then until I found it, then I would have made sure everything was 100%. But see, you don't know this stuff. Like I couldn't have done what I've done. I couldn't have never, parts like this that are broken in the pop metal, you would have never discovered that piece was missing. See, it wasn't like the reproducer missing, or say this piece missing. This is the piece that you load the records with, or this piece is missing or this piece is missing. All that stuff is, all this was laying over here in the corner of the cabinet, along with this and this broken piece and this piece right here. All that was laying over here in this corner of the cabinet, and all that stuff was counted for. But a little piece like that, no. So yep, that's where we're at. Kind of done with it right now until I get the reproducer. Hopefully, I may order a new power cord and then check with Mark on and then get a bulb for this. And hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, I'll be done with this thing, ready to go in the house with it and have a full production of how this thing plays and sounds with a new reproducer and the whole 9 yards. I'm so excited. This is one of my favorite things that I've worked on, because I knew about these, like I said early in the video, I knew about these machines since the early 90s, and just, wow, I own one. But that's, with Marketplace and the internet how they is now, you can find this stuff now. So that's where we're at. I'll get back with you when I get all that squared away on that piece and the reproducer and all that stuff. All right, I've been getting some things done on this, and guess what came in the mail today? Thank you so much, Nick from Colorado. This is the part that goes in there and helps keep the plate the level so the records drop. But yep, that's the part. And there's no way, I don't think that would have been easy to spot if it was in the cabinet, because it's got this pin. That's for the spring. I'll show you how all this hooks up on that part, once I get it all put back together. But yeah, part right there. But here's what I've been doing. I've been getting this thing prepped for Howard's Restore finish, cleaning pieces. This is the panel off the front. Goes right here. I've got the switch taken off. This switch is what controls the light, the light bulb in the back there. I'm pointing it with the corner of this plate here. So it turns the light on, so when the door shuts, it pushes. There's a switch right here now. Believe it or not, the switch was broke. Show you here. This is the switch, and I got a JB welded because it is broke down the center. So I've got a pair of vice grips on there, a bunch of JB weld on there, and it does work because I already put a continuity test and push on it. So when when it lets out, it's got continuity when you push it in, and it works pretty good. So when you push it in, there's no continuity. When you let out, it is. So it works. So I want to check that, with it like this before it dries and make sure it does work. So when it does dry, it's going to work. There's no JB weld over the connections or anything. I have been working on some Brasso. I got that cleaned up. I got my tone arm cleaned up. pretty good. So it's all brassoed up. I still got to clean this right here, the record lifter. It's pretty toasty. So it's still, I'm gonna have to get, I don't know what I'm gonna get in there, but I'm gonna try to get in there. See, that's where I scraped that off with my fingernail right there, but I'm gonna have to get in there real good. I tried it with a toothbrush, but it just ain't. So this is pretty toasty. What else have I done here? I replaced the turntable felt. I used some glue. Did that yesterday. So turntable felt's looking good. But that's it so far. I guess I told you that I got my reproducer about a week ago from White Marcus. I've been doing some cleaning on it a little bit. Oh, that's my old one. There it is. Yeah, I thought, man, this thing's awful dirty, but yeah, this is the reproducer for White Marcus. He rebuilt it for me. I've been doing some brasso cleaning on it just a little bit. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Now I did notice this right here, because I was looking at taking the doors off to kind of get in these corners. But do you see this right here? This door has been split in the past, and they've got wood glue in there. You see the wood glue going all the way down right here. And if you look at the front, you can see it. See it right here? And it turns right out here. So all this right here, I wonder what happened. So all this is, yeah, right here. Look at that. Didn't even notice it. Even if I noticed it when I bought it, I wonder how long it's been like that. I bet the guy didn't even know it was like that. It might have, that may have happened, 60, 70 years ago. Don't know. I mean, that wouldn't have been fixed when this thing, because he said it last worked in the 70s, early 70s, and so this wouldn't have been fixed like that after. This would have been fixed in its prime. So this could have been fixed before the guy that I bought it off of was even born. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I cleaned these poles up, some brasso. I'm pretty much ready. I mean, I still gotta, you see, that's where I wiped that out with my finger, get the dust out. So I'm gonna have to get all this and clean it all up real good with some cleaner before I put Howard Restore finish on it. But that's where I'm at right now. I gotta go pick up some stuff tomorrow for this, and I'm gonna start cleaning on it real good and get in there and take these doors off, start working on this. I don't remember. See, these doors are pretty good shape. Them doors right there, I may leave them doors alone. Everything that's exposed, them doors right there, those doors has always been shut. And I was wondering why this door was like so hard to shut. And you can see where there's a scuffle. Let me zoom in. You can see right there where there's a little bit of a scuffle. That's because this door has been split and the door is crooked just a little bit. So, it is what it is. Doesn't change anything. But I've ordered, like I said, I've ordered 2 bulbs and I've ordered a new power cord. I measured this to be about 11 feet long. And I don't think this, I kept saying to myself, I said, this may be the original power cord. But it's not. It says General Electric, I think. Let's see. Inside of this. Yeah, see General Electric. 10 amp. So, and this don't have nothing wrote on it. But see, you can see it's all cloth. And I found the closest I possibly could to this. It's not like all the cloth cords that I found that's like this woven together. It's got this like rayon, real generic Chinese cheap looking rayon. And so what I did is I found a power cord that's brown, and these 2 cords are just woven together like that. So I found that's the closest I found to keep real cotton, real more authentic, and it's woven together. So that's coming. The 2 bulbs are coming. I'm still keeping an eye out for some tongue tones, needles, and then I've heard RCA Victor chromium needles is good. So that's all I've still got to buy hardest parts is needles, because it can't use steel needles, because you only use steel needles one time. You got to throw them away. This, you got to put a needle in it that you use multiple times because it being a record changer. So there's that. The only thing that I haven't purchased yet, well, the stuff, I got to go to Lowe's and Ace Hardware. I still got to get 2 bolts for this part right here. And I still got to get that, and then I got to get Howard Restore Finish and some, I think it's triple alt or quadruple alt wool. I got to go back and look. So I still got to get that stuff, and then I'm going to try to get some better cleaner to clean this down here really, really good. You know, try to get all this old scum off of it as best I can before I put the Restore Finish on it. Something that really get that stuff up, and then put all that on there, and then kind of go from there. So yeah, that's where I'm at on it, guys. All right, I am pretty close to being 100% done with it. You notice I got the top cleaned off. Ooh boy, look at that. Now, I got my little piece in the mail the other day. I showed it to you. Got it installed. I pretty much just installed stuff. I did a lot of Brasso cleaning to the turntable, to this, to the reproducer, the tone arm, to this. Took this out, just take 2 screws and this whole thing will come out. That and this. Got some needles in there. There's my record loader. Got a bulb. Now this bulb come from Lowe's. It's a 40 watt incandescent bulb. No, I'm saying it wrong. It's a 40 watt bulb. I've got a 15 watt ordered because it's a little bright, but that's all I could get right now to kind of light this up in here. But I have a 15 watt ordered. It's what it's supposed to be. I think a 15 watt. I have done a lot of cleaning on the inside, done Howard Restore Finish on this, the 3 sides, this side, the back side, and this side. And I've done the inside of the door, and I did the inside all this and behind the record cabinets. Now I haven't done behind this because this is in still pretty good shape. There's a lot of nicks and beat ups here. And I did the top, which ain't too bad. I've got some scuffs here, a couple scuffs here, 2 here. There's 2 rings right here. You can see them. You can see them a lot more through the phone than you do in person. But you got to take a quadruple alt steel wool. Brillo pad, and put it with the Howard to get all that stuff out. I don't really want to do that. Because a lot of the nicks and stuff, they come out pretty good. Let's see. A little bit of shine in there. You can see it through the phone a little better than my naked eye. Turn the light on. So, I did get this leather replaced in the drawer. 2 leather pieces come with a kit, so the records fall and they slide down that leather. The only thing that I have ordered that has not come in yet is I was able to find some tongue tone needles. I got them today. I won them at auction. Also, let's see, got the power cord. The power cord installed. Cloth covered. The only else thing I'm probably going to do to this thing is I still got to get the right 2 bolts right here, which I'm no hurry on. I had a little something issue happen there. So I was talking about these 2 bolts. Yeah, I'm not in no hurry in replacing them. I painted these like a flat black. They kind of stick out a little bit, but they're okay for right now. And it wouldn't take 10 seconds to replace them once I do get them. I've got the right bolts, but trying to find a thread pattern. It's these 2 right here on the right. This one was just some bolt that I found. So this is what's left over. So these 2 and I just got to find the right bolt nut for them. I can't. I mean, I took it to my local hardware store and tried every nut that they had, and it does not fit that thread pattern. I have no idea. So that's where I'm at on it right now, because you got to have these two bolts right here thread into this piece right here. These two go down through, and there's a plate that still survived. I found it, and there's two nuts underneath. So the only thing that I still got left to do is the tongue tones and those bolts, but I'm pretty much done. Like I said, the only thing that I put the Howard Restore finish was all the inside of this here, and I did the top of it. But I'm gonna probably do some more. There's some, nicks right here and here, which I don't know. It gives it character. It's not beat all to pieces. And I'm listing the two bolts, screws that goes back here. They were never in it. It's a little loose, but I'm no hurry to get that. And this is probably going to be the end. I'm finished with this thing pretty much, 98% done. It's going to be a while before I get this thing in the house. I'm going to have to cover it up with some blankets and stuff. Let's put a few records on here and play this thing, we say. And we'll work it. All right. I took the back off of it so you could see, instead of trying to do it at an angle, me trying to load this thing up and trying to see at an angle. So I just took the back, just one little bolt comes right out. It's real easy to come off. So you can see how I load this thing. And then once we load it up, I put the back cover back on, change the needle out. Now I'm not going to play these records very long. I'm just going to play just the beginnings of them because of the steel needle until I get the tongue tones, like I said. So I'm just going to play just the first few seconds of each record. It's about the record changer more than anything. So, okay, here's my record loader, and I flipped this around too. I spun it around. It's a half piece, so it wouldn't glare, but it obviously it's open, so it wouldn't glare toward the camera. Okay, get one of these. So you pull your records albums out, and you take this piece right here, and you put it right in the hole. The record's right out. You take that little hole, put it on the hook, like that, and you just push. It's got to be up over that piece right here. Make sure that's down. All right. Now, the later ones had like a little tray that sit up here, sit it in here, and then it had the drawer down here above the 10-inch records, and the bulb was up in the top, which I think that's the only thing I wish mine was later modeled, because I wish that bulb was up in the top, because that bulb really glares on you. All right, so let me get y'all switch back around here and get the back cover back on, and let y'all see this perform here. All right, so I got everything put back together. Turn it on, and first record. That's some Bristol stuff. Rose Conley. Like I So I was going to just play just a few minutes of it. There it goes. Next record. Sometimes it just does. You got to pull it. See. Next one. Okay, I'm going to show you this little piece and how it works. I should have left the back of it off to kind of show you how this piece works. So Jimmy Rogers, his last yodel. Alright.
Lord, I love the women, I love them all the same.
Got a little bit of a glare.
But I don't love nobody.
Woo, that thing is blasting. It's so loud. God.
The women make a fool.
Okay. When it rejects this record, I'll show you this little piece in action. If you look back here, alright, see that little brass piece right there? It made this flip back. That's why that little cutout's there. Carter family. Catch it there. Reject again. It's all about the function. It's not really about the music. Okay, you can watch it how it lifted up over this lip here. See how it lifts it right up over it? Same way. That record's rough. That's a Carter family record too, but that's in pretty bad shape. All right. Sorry for the bad editing right there. Not finished the cycle, but you've seen it cycle a bunch already. Let's try a 12-inch record. I've got it laying up here on top. So we're going to go from 10-inch, 12-inch. And I have one right here. I'll just slip it on this one record. And reject. And you can watch it come up. And grab those little tabs and grab it. And then it'll just lift it right off the record. You know, just lifts it, just pushes it right up, lifts it right off. You know, it's still a little bit. Most of your 12 inches is like opera and stuff. So let's go take it at the end and watch it. Woo! It's loud. Grab it much there. And then we'll watch her shut off. All right. Guys, you'll probably see this machine some more, maybe once I get it in the house. Let me zoom out here. Yeah, you'll see this machine some more. But I'm pretty much done with it, other than getting tone ton needles and those 2 bolts and maybe cleaning outside the cabinet some more, which I'll probably do that once I get it in the house because I'm still keeping it in the garage right now. But this has been a fun restoration. I love the machine. I ain't really got the room for it, but you know, it is what it is. But I mean, it's a kind of a once in a lifetime. I mean, I had another chance to buy another machine out at Clarksville, but you know, it's more money than it is money and room than it is working on it, because they're pretty simple. Record changer's pretty simple. All it is just moving the tone arm and just lifting up and down. That's it. You know, it lifts it up over that little lip and be done with it. So, all right, guys, join me on the next one, and I may, you know, do a whole thing and play all the records that I just played, play the whole things, and just do an hour YouTube video of all these records that are being played. As long as I don't get no copyright on them, because I know some of them are pretty popular even now, especially the Carter family stuff. But all right, guys, y'all have a good one. I appreciate you. This has been a long video, but this is a really big deal, holy grail for me, doing this machine right here and everything. But appreciate y'all guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.